All right, now you know the news. Let's talk about it with Douglas Holtz-Eakin, the American Action Forum president. Doug, also former Congressional Budget Office director. As we just went through all the figures, this jobs report was terrific, considering where we've been, to come back and see this many people coming back to work at once. As Jackie and others pointed out, the concern from the half-empty crowd is that, well, we're starting to slow down the recovery in some of these southern states with the spike in the virus. So where do you think we are, and what's your level of confidence in the recovery?
Well, I think we learned some important things from today's report. In the past 2 months, the top-line jobs number, 2.7 million, 4.8 million, has tracked exactly the number of temporary layoffs that have gone away. So we're pulling back into work those people who were temporarily laid off and can easily be reemployed. That's really good news, because there were 18 million people classified as temporary layoffs in April. So there's a big part of the labor force that's out there prepared to come back, and seemingly comes back pretty quickly. Bad news is about 2 million of those were in leisure and hospitality, and if we get these spikes and hotspots, those are the most easily sent back home, and that's going to be offset the gains we had today. But this was a strong report. The unemployment rate came down dramatically, even though the Bureau of Labor Statistics started counting it correctly. You can't complain about anything you saw in the numbers. The concern is just about the future.
Right. You can't complain about anything in the demographics, whatever group you look at, and education levels, whatever it is. Everybody is getting better. Everybody is improving. Now, we have a ways to go, losing 20+ million jobs in March and April, getting 7.5 million or thereabouts back. That brings up the next conversation that people, at least in Washington, are having is, do we push forward with aggressive stimulus? The president talked to Blake Berman yesterday about supporting direct payments to individuals. But it seems like the real sticking point here between Republicans and Democrats will be about whether it's a good idea to extend those enhanced unemployment benefits. What do you think we'll see, and when do you think we'll see it?
Well, I don't think we'll see an extension of the $600 unemployment benefit as it is. It's simply too big a hurdle to getting a vibrant labor market, and everybody should want a vibrant labor market. So that's going to have to be modified, but made smaller, caused to interfere less with going back to work. I think that's inevitable. I think in today's jobs report, we saw some clues about what might happen going forward. We didn't see continued job losses in the state-local sector. That's been a big concern of Democrats. There were job losses earlier. It seems to have bottomed out. That may take some of the pressure off of that. And I think what we've learned since we got some data on the fall in the crisis is that the real hit to spending was high-income individuals who are unwilling to go to places where they'd be physically exposed. That's going to put a premium on making people feel safe when they go out. And I think targeting any spending on making things safe is going to be a key to being effective. And sending stimulus checks to low-income individuals doesn't address that need. So they're going to have to craft this to be effective and to continue to get people back to work.
Well, it's almost like the best economic stimulus in some ways is just following the guidelines, being as healthy as possible. I mean, you see more and more public officials, even those that maybe weren't promoting wearing masks, for example, now starting to do so. I've noticed the vice president down today in Florida making sure he had a mask on when he wasn't speaking. Same thing for the governor of Florida. And, maybe there's something to that, Doug, is that if we can we can stay healthy, that we don't have to shut it down again. We don't have to nobody wants to go in that direction.
Lockdowns are the most damaging economically and bias the least in the public health. So social distancing buys you an enormous amount. Masks on top of that buys you even more. Lockdowns doesn't buy you much in the way of reduced infections, but has cost us enormously. So we need to find a way to avoid the lockdown as the tool that we use to address these spikes. And
are there other tools economically as a final point other than, just avoiding it through the best practice?
We can help people buy PPE, so to make sure that people are protected. We can help businesses modify their workplaces and customer spaces so they are, in fact, safer for people to work in and to shop in. There are things that we can do to work in the presence of this virus as opposed to try to hide from it. That the second strategy we've tried, it's enormously costly, and it didn't solve the problem.
Right. All right. Well, if we do it right, then we keep the momentum that clearly is going in this economy. Then we can keep it going. Doug, good to see you as always. Have a good 4th. Douglas Holtz-Eakin joining us. Melissa?